The guy, the man, had title to the car and owned the car, and it was literally, legally his car. But the woman also had a claim on the car because it had been in her family for generations and it had been a part of her life forever and ever. And so she also had a moral claim on the car, if not a legal claim on the car. And the way the play ended was this kind of standoff between the man and the woman over the car and who owned the car and who had right to the use of the car, and they both needed the car. And then at that point, the play ended and they just walked off holding hands, skipping off into the future together. Like they were reconciled, but the car was still there and nobody knew what to do with the car. So I just slept on that last night, and I thought this morning, the prophet, if I was going to give a sermon a title this morning, I think I'd call it The Prophet, the Rock, and the Car. Using the symbol from the play of the rock and the car, and this is the second sermon on Habakkuk. And we learned last week in the first sermon that Habakkuk lived in a time when the world was just falling apart. It was being torn apart, literally. You think maybe about the hurricane going through Texas and all of the destruction and damage that caused and death that brought. Or I remember one time I was in India just after a tsunami came and swept along the coast, and the kind of destruction that this huge tsunami brought of destruction and death and just swept everything out to sea. And Habakkuk is living in this kind of time when this tsunami of violence is about to fall upon the people. And he goes into the watchtower. He climbs up on the ramparts and he says, how long, O Lord? How long are you going to make me witness this violence? And then in chapter 2, he says, I'm going to stand on the ramparts. I'm going to take my watch. I'm going to take my place in the watchtower, and I am going to wait to see what God is going to say to me. How is God going to answer me? What will the Lord tell me about this tidal wave of violence that's going to descend upon us? How long, O Lord? How long will you make me witness this violence? And then paraphrasing just a little bit in chapter 2, actually maybe paraphrasing quite a bit, God answers the prophet. And God says, I'm going to give you a message. I will give you a vision. Write the vision and make it plain. For the vision awaits its time. It hastens to its end. It is not a lie. It will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. The one who... If you read commentaries on Habakkuk, that's the line they'll pick up on. Is the righteous will live by faith. The Reformation and Luther, the righteous shall live by faith. It says, the treacherous, the arrogant shall not abide. Their greed is as wide as Sheol, the home of the dead. Like death, they never have enough. They're never satisfied. And then it goes on and gives a series of judgments. Woe to those who plunder many nations on the earth. Woe to you who get evil gain for your house, for the stones will cry out, and the timbers will answer. Woe to you who build towns with blood. Woe to you who make your neighbor drink the cup of your wrath. Your own violence will overwhelm you, but the righteous will live by faith. The righteous will live by faith. Faith, the assurance of things unseen, the assurance of things hoped for. When I think about faith, we've been reading about or learning about Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. At one point, Heschel says in one of his writings, living is what we do with God's time.